Good morning, my viewers. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Wise One channel with your host, Lady Caren. How are you doing? You doing good? I hope you're doing well. Let's take a moment to breathe because, well, breathing seems to be essential to living, shall we? Shall we? Alright. Breathing in. If you want to. You don't have to. And only if it's safe for you to do so. Why it wouldn't be safe to breathe in? I don't know if I want to know. But, you've got your own situation. You know what you're in. Alright, so we're going to breathe in if you can, if you want, if you will. And breathe out. I'm going to straighten up my back and then just let it relax on the exhale. So, and then exhale. I'm going to breathe in through my nose, expanding the gut, and exhale. Letting the balloon deflate. Yeah. Okay, breathe in. And breathe out. Let myself get centered, grounded. Let my thoughts take a moment to pause and let curiosity for the listening perk up, for the watching. The observing. For the waiting for what's coming next. Good morning. It is definitely my morning. It's definitely still winter where I'm at. And it's cold. I'll tell you that. I'm still crocheting this blanket. That should be done by now. I just kept pausing in my work. And now, that's why I have hot coffee. So I'm crocheting a blanket while we talk. And it's working. I don't know how well, but it's working. It's doing its thing. It's crocheting. And I'm just, getting in here and doing a single stitch on this row. I'm on blue. Trying to make like a icy, watery kind of color with these cute little baby soft yarn, baby butter or something type of acrylic yarn. So I've got like a sandwich of white and blue and white, as the last chunks in here in this pattern. So I'm making winter end on this blanket, and then next will be spring. So I gotta find spring colors. But oh my gosh, the amount of yarn, spills, cakes, kind of thing. It's expensive if you don't make your own stuff, your own material to buy, which isn't bad. Our economy lives this way. I try to imagine sometimes a time where you have to create this if you want this. You have to make yarn. You have to make the crochet needle or the knitting needles. to go find all the supplies for everything back before stores were invented and trading commenced. Back when, walking and traveling and other means other than cars. Back before civilization. Like, how long did they just work with plant materials and work with animal materials? So then, while they were sitting around the campfire, in between, walking, how they get, like, it's fascinating, these small little tidbits. I mean, that's why little clay jars are so fascinating. It's because the everyday life thing and how we get to all our conveniences that we don't even bat an eye. We turn on a light switch is, the most general convenience that we talk about. I enjoy convenience of toilets, to tell you the truth. Like camping, you require like 30 or 40 things. And it feels like every time I look at all the camping stuff, it's like more and more camping stuff. And there's these hacks. Bring the pool noodles. Bring, this thingy just for your shoes, and this thingy just for, washing the dishes. And then you need these dishes to cook, and spice racks and all this other stuff. And I feel like everything used to be for free from the earth. The earth provided like everything. That's what's so fascinating. So I'm on row 3, I think. If I bother to count, I don't count as I go along. Probably a problem. Can't maintain. I find it so fascinating for once in a while to go back to the way it was. And that way we can follow, sort of like when you check a huge mathematical equation, you go back along the math and you follow it to make sure the whole equation is right, because otherwise everything that branches off of where the equation is not accurate gets thrown and the whole equation is wrong. So our society, our civilization, our that organism of networking amongst social people and our connection to the earth. If we go through to where, as far as we understood, because we weren't there, we didn't witness. All we have are accounts on, wall paintings and whatnot, and stories and tellings and oral tellings and books that, top of the books that have been burned. And so, how did, everyday life? So that's why making these videos is important, is because it's a way of telling our everyday life, considering the appearing to be minute, and meanderings of just this or that. But the little data points condense when you get to the whole tapestry of life, or you get to the whole 3-dimensional time frame. These little parts here and there that don't matter. It would appear the whole, but things are built up, sort of like the brick buildings. Like if somebody put something between one little brick and then you have this archway at the end, how big out of proportion it is. And not to sweat the small stuff. Like, oh, I had this little interaction and now my whole life is... No, don't sweat the small stuff. Because there is an empowerment at looking at things at the larger picture and moving towards a larger picture, because things will fall into place. Like your subconscious does these calculations. If you move forward, we're designed to move forward because we move linearly through time, even though some of us don't perceive a linear movement through time. Be interesting to prove that, isn't it? do we really move linearly through time, or we just have perceptions or a commonality perception of moving linearly through time? So therefore we think we have evidence of, oh, this was the past, this is the present, and this is the future. How does time really work? Or what is our perception of time? Because if you get into like a gravity pull, time gets a little wonky. The perception of time gets wonky. So if time movement, time and space, are simply our perception of our reality, I have to wonder. I mean, we know, we go through experience. We go from being a little infant to growing older, understanding the concepts of like gravity and understanding the concepts of learning things like grip and all these seemingly minute things that have a big effect on how we live our life. I mean, without it, we would definitely notice. But with it as it comes along, do we really notice? Do we really take the time to appreciate? What do you guys think about the lighting? Maybe I should move back a bit. I got the happy light, so I got to work on lighting. But I got the audio, got my little headset. We'll figure this out. Yeah, mic and the headset. So, yeah, we have a certain perception of our whole world and what we're doing, what's real, and we can move in this sense of reality and empower ourselves in the sense of reality and the things that we do or don't do in the sense of reality, and what we pay attention to and what we take an effect on, and what we take action or inaction on. I have no idea why my headset is now. Hold on. Let me, just in case it's my phone. I'm going to turn that off there on my phone. And then maybe it won't do stuff when I get announcements or if my phone does something. It'll just pay attention to the other device where there's, yeah. So we have all these things going on that I don't feel empowered. I feel helpless, on the other side of the world that affects us. We are affected by things that go on all over the world, anywhere from e-commerce to family relations to just water that comes from the other side of the world, our environment, the way whether or not there's enough trees, landslides, fault lines, plate shifting, polar magnetic polars that shift, water. These things that shape our lives that we don't feel a direct connection to that affect us. So treating other human beings like human beings without letting them walk all over us. So it doesn't mean like, oh, be nice and let them walk all over our boundaries. It's be healthy with our boundaries so that we can interact with other people without toxicity and trauma as much as possible. That's a lovely balance. It seems to be a practice that is rare, very rare. Somehow, if we could figure out how to be hospitable and symbiotic with each other, how could we approach something like war? Like, if you feel like war is something so remote, so distant, so dissociative from what we do on our everyday life, think about how we interact with each other and our closest people. Think about the traumatized people who are really abrasive and rough with their everyday people that we love. Is there a zoom button? Because I don't think you want to see my background. I need to fix my background. I need to rearrange, organize, and build my background, and it's not just what the camera sees. I need to get my bedroom into, or my space into something that resonates, because the environment you in has an impact on people. It shows that there's an impact on people. So I want functionality. I want, because to get healthier, having a nice place. I want a type of environment that I want that minimalist white blank stuff, which is pretty, but it doesn't resonate with who I am. I want nature, warm, warm tones, because I love the healthy, I bring nature inside type thing. And I don't see a lot of that. And I know that it has an effect on us as people. Our perception, the way we feel when our environment is different. Yeah. So, yeah. It's smaller or bigger? I don't know. I don't know if that's like two people or one person blankets. Oh, maybe it goes this way. I don't know. I'm just gonna make this blanket forever and ever and ever. I'm just gonna be forever crocheting this blanket. I'm gonna bury it with me so that I can finish it in the afterlife. Put it on the fire. So life and death is happening around us all the time. And the things that we notice. And the things that we don't notice. And the things that pertain to us. Whatever we're designed to do, So I want to get life to where I am satisfied, comfortable, safe, healthy, where it feels as it should, to be in life. Socially, emotionally, mentally, physically. And it's so much work from right now, but I can't disregard the amount of work and accomplishment that has been so far. Some things are the same, some I've traded. It feels like some things are the same, some things are different, some things I've just traded one problem for another situation for another. I have different sets of opportunities. So I'm learning this philosophy for myself that things aren't either good or bad, but something of either positive attraction or negative avoidance or neutrality, and just factually just are in existence, and we accept the existence. I have a device in front of me, and it's neither for bad. What I do with it is something, whether or not I want to keep at using it, or if there's something that I want to avoid, or it simply exists. I have to leave the time already. So yeah, I want to exist. I'm trying to accept that existing is acceptable. Be a lot easier if like that was threatened it. Oh my gosh, if you're not happy, if you're not satisfied with your life, you have to be, or you'll be hospitalized for being mentally ill. Like, what's so mentally ill about existing? If I don't exist the way somebody else wants to, or to need conformity, that everybody needs to conform. I mean, so obviously I've had unhealthy uh, interactions with conformity, that I have an aversion to conformity demand. It's almost pathological. No, lovely. So knowing myself and getting it so that it's comfortable enough to talk with you. And then understanding what I can do with that fear. Understanding what that fear is and to understand what my actions or inactions can be. And so a lot of times when I have a fear, I understand my attention deficit. When I have a problem, my attention deficit will be like, let me go look at something else. And it's not like distract me and avoid it so that I don't handle the project or the thing at hand, the situation at hand, or the incapable or no tools. So I notice that that is a tool that is designed to assist me as I navigate and like navigate my everyday life. And if I utilize it, it can be a healthy adaptation. So what I strive to do is when I notice that I want to avoid the whole, oh my God, this looming tsunami of a problem, is that I want to look at the bigger picture. It's not so much that I look right at it, is that it can be a tool to broaden my perspective of what I'm looking at. So not just this is a problem or this is a flaw or this is a bad thing. It's this is something inside of another thing. Remember, we want it three-dimensional. We don't want to perceive it as a two, I don't want to perceive it as something that is just flat and linear and you can only I want more movable space in which I can negotiate, I can handle, I can deal, I can make it a healthy, I can flip it into a healthy opportunity. I can engage in it instead of like run away. So I can engage with the fact that I have this fear of somebody taking away my freedoms, of my my autonomy, my choice, my freedoms, my ability to choose. Instead of giving me the illusion of choice, I desire actual freedom and choice. There's those who experience choice paralysis, and it can happen. And it can happen to me. I'm not comfortable with admitting it, but I understand it can happen to me. But also, when you take choice away or you give only the illusion of choice, I feel as if that's wrong. I feel as if there's better on the other side of that. That I feel that life is better with choice, and that each choice paralysis, I have an opportunity to learn from it and to navigate it and overcome the paralysis of it and realize these are the choices. This is what I want to do with my choices. I want choice freedom. I want the opportunity to have more than enough choice. I want to look at this three-dimensionally. I want to look at my fear three-dimensionally. So I want to look at it a bigger perspective to empower myself because there is a lot of power. I look at more than just what I'm afraid of. Look at the whole situation. What can I really do? What can I do to empower myself so that I don't have choices taken away? I mean, so I have far more opportunity to look at things a little more sideways. It's this or that. I'm like, no, it's all of these. And this is what I'll take is this thing that's least expected. It's most likely what I'll do. Sometimes I'll go with one of the two choices because out of all the opportunities of all the other situational um, actions or inactions that I can take, that I can empower myself with. The ones that you're offering, that you're aware of, that you want to give me, seem like I'll do that. So it's that knowing that inside me, my internal understanding, perception, and abilities should always be far more than that which is sequestered. Not sequestered. Sequestered means like something else. That is oppressed. Oh. So to empower myself with empathy that I feel towards people who are in the middle of war or oppression or genocide or things where even the people doing unspeakable actions, probably not the best for them to be doing those unspeakable actions or inactions. I want to find the footing of what I can and cannot do, what's available for me to do, what opportunities that I understand I have in front of me. Yeah. So yeah, I'm smarter than the average bear, but then like people don't understand their own intelligence. I feel like it wasn't their intention in the school, but the public school has a way of hurting, not hurting, but hurting or nav, you know, corral their students into a mind, a frame of mind, or a type of method of just, or a system where they're really just handicapped from themselves. They don't know who they are in here. And it's really not like they just clipped their wings, but more like they chopped their figurative wings off. The emotional or mental damage that they unintentionally give, and these poor teachers feel like school is a flawed system. Yet I keep sending my kid there. Learning is so much more, you know? Learning is so much more than doing in school. I feel like I have to keep reminding my significant other, my cute, adorable boyfriend, that he'll just learn that in school or get an education. Like learning doesn't only happen in the school hours. Like it's learning 24/7. You're developing skills here, there, and whatnot. Learning is a great place to gather. It has opportunities. It has plus and minuses. So the pros um, are definitely a place where you can gather and learn common knowledge. I like that. I like being able to, where people share all their gathered knowledge, all their tested knowledge, all their hard earned way of learning of this, look at this. With all these tools, we figured out what happened in space. With all these tools, we learned how to, determine the age of the Earth. With all these tools, we are able to accomplish mathematical equations. With all these tools, we can navigate technologies with all these tools and this gathering of things that people have done so far. That I feel like I just went in one. I don't want to go in one. I want to 272. I have to. Where's the stitch? Oh my gosh. Like this vertical stitch is doing the crap out of me. No, that's not the whole stitch. And skill building and taking time and putting things aside, distractions aside, which is nice, you know. But we also have to learn how to continuously learn with distraction present. So, I mean, yeah, we're good. It took half an hour to do the rope because I kept talking. So many hours into this blanket. Okay, so 4. Okay, so this is 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we want 16, 15 or 16 rows. Is that right? Something like that, right? Got it. We'll get it. Trying to figure out my blinky. Let me see if that corner is straight. Let's crochet. Keep crocheting for the rest of my... And I'll deal with it. It'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be fun. I don't know what I'm doing. It'd be easier if I counted my stitches. I don't count my stitches. I don't think I'm capable of counting my stitches yet. It's a skill I'd have to develop until it's easy. Yeah, I've noticed our approach on everyday life is definitely not empowering. But it could just be the way that my environment is for me. It might not be the same for everybody else. I mean, everybody else has a different culture, they have a different environment, they have different genes, they have different what do I say? There are different genes inside of different environments. Yeah. Different perceptions of there. So, yeah. And different approach and methods to their own day in and day out. Yeah. I did not listen to the news today. I probably will on another time. But yeah, I'm taking each day as it comes and doing what I can. I still haven't mastered a routine amount of items that need done. You know, tasks that need completed or that routine, how do I put, like self-care routine or anything. So I'm trying to do more and more so that I'm capable of doing more and more. But I don't want it to take so much of my time that that's all there is, that I'm not able to accomplish anything. Like, I spend so much time cooking and cleaning and taking care of myself that I can't accomplish, like, putting together a blanket, that I can't make a video, that I can't go off and just ride my bike someplace for like 3 days. So it's very confusing on building up my ability to do everything else. But if you don't do the everyday stuff like the stretching and the exercise, you don't have the energy or the ability to do like, I don't know. I grew up with like Chandler Kafka on an adventure. Oh no, I didn't really grow up. That was after, like, watching Power Rangers like go up and do stuff. Like, how can they do all their schoolwork if they keep getting calls? I mean, there's unrealistic dramas, and it's taken its toll on my subconscious. Like, the mundane is completely taken out of all the adventurous stuff, because nobody wants to sit there and watch you do an hour's worth of French class because the kid's in French class or whatever, you know. I just want to cut to the joke that happens in French class. So somebody doing work is, to me, because it's so rare to watch people do work, I find it fascinating, because only the non-work stuff or the interesting and fascinating stuff has been presented to me my whole life. And so I find it fascinating, the mundane and simple stuff, because a lot of people, they find something rare, they want to share it with you. So my whole life, if somebody finds something rare and amazing, they share it with me. That's so cool. This is so cool. That it really brings attention to my consciousness to see commonalities, to see everyday flowers like dandelions, to see everyday, you know, copycatted, mass produced items, to see. I see it as rare because I've been shown so many rare stuff. Like, this is a rare occurrence in martial arts, and okay, show me the everyday thing in martial arts, the accomplishment. So watching somebody build character and do everyday, mundane, boring as stuff that makes me want to fall asleep is empowering. It gives me fascination vibes, or to say I lack there the articulation and descriptions and telling storytelling. You know, the doing the everyday stuff. You know, doing the do this for every day, do this boring thing. And because my attention deficit doesn't want to do the boring stuff, but my autism is like, oh, look at this fascinating D&D encounter, the math and the skill and the calculation, everything else. And my attention deficit is what it went. Okay, we're turning off the lights down to the brain. You're going to yawn 500 times because you just lost oxygen. So I have an internal struggle where it looks like, oh my God, I'm so bored. But my autism is like, give me more, give me more, give me more. My pattern recognition is like, oh, let's fill in more blanks and let's fill in more pattern factors. Let's fill in more stuff. And what do I want to engage in? It's like I have a full or more understanding of things, and I want more of this, but my attention deficit says, no, it's not zoomy enough. It's not pretty enough. It's not exciting enough. So I have that ambiguity that I have to struggle with. I feel like I live as an oxymoron. Like, two direct opposite things that aren't just the opposite, but they clash and should cancel each other out type opposite. They're so on the other ends of the spectrum. And I'm just sitting here going, I am existing, but I shouldn't be. You know how else this I don't understand what I am. It's like watching somebody who's cringeworthy because I've been taught that that is bad, but that is themselves, and I want more of the cringe. I want to look away and I'm, no, that's not. But there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. They're just being themselves, and I want to understand them, and I want to see more, and I want to get used to it, and I want to immerse myself in it, even though it gives me the cringe. So yeah, that is things that I live with. And I have to wonder. It's not that I want to wonder, it's that I'm left wondering. So my life is occasionally perceive myself in a life that is an enigma, wrapped in a puzzle, that is wrapped in a riddle, that is wrapped in cute little dolls that get bigger on the inside. That might as well be a temporal distortion of time space continuum. Yeah. How did we get here? How did we start talking about that when I started talking about something completely other subjects? No, I didn't hear you actually say that. I'm pretending as if I actually heard you say that. No, nobody said that kind of question. It's just me answering. Well, it started with, let me give you the plot line. I'm not going to give you the plot line. But yeah, so, am I crazy? Well, I'd rather not be somebody else's cup of normal. Things that they do day in and day out. I can't. No, I'm surprised they haven't. That's just, to me, that is just not. That is just doom, 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 and more doom and gloom and. To live the way other people live doesn't feel acceptable. But you know. Sometimes I have this fear, and I stare and wonder if I can plant coffee beans because the world's in a recession. And then I sit there and I remember learning about the Mediterranean becoming a desert where it was once lush, and it's still desert like, in Egypt. And Egypt helped out as much as it could, and the people that gathered together from all different places. Like, let me see, things that raged on, like war, famine, and how the Mediterranean experienced pretty much the apocalypse, and how it has yet to recover. Because we lost books that explain like a type of permaculture or a way of rebuilding what was that desert-like conditions into an oasis. how to heal the planet so that we have more than an abundance. Enlightenment science isn't bad unless it's where that we can't come back from that. So, I mean, it's not bad to go forward, but let's go forward with some caution and with our, what do you call, thoughts and considerations and weighing the consequences on hands. Let's move wisely into the future. Let's move wisely through our connections to ourselves and connections to a higher power and connections to each other and connections to our earth. I'm going to say that in like everything because that's what I preach. And it's not wrong. It's definitely an action there. And definitely there's a connection. I mean, the more you become familiar with somebody, the more that you like them or don't like them. Or, I mean, depending on what you like about yourself and if they're mirroring actions about you with things that you like or don't like. Humans are just humans, living beings. I really did think of human beings lately, this past, I want to say week, if I remember correctly. I don't. Of just being electrical beings pulsing through this conduit of a body. It's constant electricity, behaving in a way of electricity. We find the easiest, most sure-footing direction and path. We spark. We say we have a light. Everybody understands what that means. Don't let somebody take your light, or, oh, they just light up while they're learning. It's like we burn a fuel, or we are a fuel source of interesting life, where we burn time and space. We're fueled by our environment that we perceive, the matter around us, inside us, through us, that kind of thing. And it's, we get sort of emotional about this or that. Showing gratitude is very empowering, especially if you have depression. Showing a perception that you are not what you think is what's considered worthless, bad, or not empowered. We can live empowered, and it's not just this person or that person and then elitism that only the opportunity, only the rich can do this, or only empower yourself. Wonder what that looks like, because my subconscious is so trained that only so and so can succeed. Only the cream of the crop can succeed type of people. And I have an understanding that can't be totality. That can't be true. That we can equally, equitably, in a form of justice, rewrite our social system, our society, to something that is healthy and symbiotic. Because if we live parasitically, it's so short-lived. I don't know. I work on my philosophies and the wisdom of my lifestyle. And sometimes I feel the thing that I've adjusted to is that whether or not to influence others, about my opinion and my way of life and my way that things should or should not be, because I don't like that infringed upon me. Infringed. I don't like that put upon me. So how much do I want put upon others? Because I have a bit of a philosophy that I strive to follow, which is do in a reflection as you would wish upon you. If I don't like being hated, try not to hate others, But I find myself, I still have something where others are not so liked by me. I have people that's I strive to be few and in between, if not, yeah. But I have others that, I don't know them well enough to care one way or another. And that's okay. I mean, you only have so many people in your social circle. But to be loving to anyone and everyone just because they exist, it's a goal. And it feels like it's so far away. It feels almost unattainable. But I also know that it's a practice. If I want to engage this philosophy that makes the most sense to me currently, that it's a practice, that I have to take time with it. I don't know how much time I have, because anything and everything could happen. But I'd like to take it as if I have a lifespan of those who are the longest lifespan ahead of me and of the best health. And then I strive towards that health and that lifespan, if possible. Then take the philosophy and take practice as if I have that time. Knowing that it's possible at a given moment that I don't. That the electricity could be cut short, that the switch could be flipped. And I'd like to come to terms with that. But so I strive towards my actions, my words, my philosophies, my thoughts to be ones with less regret. I strive towards, if it ended today, what I'm about to say, because there's be no take backsies. If I could fight the impulses, well, not fight the impulses, because I don't believe in fighting. I believe in discovering a better way that would be conducive to all parties as much as possible. Not people pleasing everybody, but the healthiest outcome for each involved. So if there's a compromise, to compromise. If there's no compromise on a principle that would benefit the whole party, I don't. I don't compromise on certain principles because I believe it would benefit the whole party involved. That the long term, that going the opposite direction in the short term would not help the long term goal. So, so if I'm in a situation and I'm interacting with somebody and I'm about to speak, sometimes I look at it as in, does it benefit everybody, myself included, them included? Do I not hurt myself? In a way that I strive to not hurt myself in order for them to succeed. So that is a kindness. That is a compassion. Or if the roles were reversed, a lot of times my biggest go-to is role reversal. If I were in their footsteps, if I were doing to them, if they were doing to me what I'm doing to them, the words that I'm speaking, the way that I am projecting my emotions, pheromones, hormones, the way that I'm projecting my body language. Am I giving them equality? Am I giving them equity? Am I giving them inclusivity? How would I feel about that if it were to happen to me? Sometimes I'm just impulsive because I have attention deficit disorder. You're going to get what you're going to get. It's not an excuse. It's just what happened. And my best goal is oh, now that I know that that happens, if it comes up again, what can I do about it? And the more I learn what can I do about it, the more I move in that. Because there are some compulsivities that it's not until it's done that you have realization. I mean, I don't think people understand that. And I don't think there's a lot of compassion for that. So I get a little hard on myself for those impulsivities that I have no control over because I have a body, a physiological response rather than a mental or emotional response. That my emotional self is flagging that I need more of a physiological response. A lot of times, what assists me best with the outcome benefiting most healthy for myself and others is that I strive to ask for divinity to speak through me, which I've learned is your higher power, an actual higher power, and your connection to the higher power. So a lot of times I'll ask like that to take the steering wheel. So my higher self to take the steering wheel, my subconscious, not just my physiological impulsivity, but my higher self that I am yet learning to be one with to take over, that I give total trust to. And that is an interesting skill to practice that I don't think a lot of people do. But I've lived most of my life with being unable to function completely conscious. So usually something like a secondary action or unconscious or a mundane thing that you do that you don't even think about, like flushing the toilet. Like a lot of people can do an action like, did I even flush the toilet? And it's been done, but you don't think about it because you've done it so many times throughout the years, place where there are toilets to flush, that you don't think about whether or not you flush the toilet. It's just done. There's a lot of times where actions that probably should have been conscious have been unconsciously done. And I've strived to be one with that, where I've completely like, I'm just gonna just go through in zombie catatonic mode and keep going. Unconscious, like sleepwalking. Because during my whatever physical condition or during PTSD flashbacks or it's just been that. And so learning to trust my subconscious and then learning to trust my higher self as a subconscious, like God, take the wheel type thing that a lot of Christians do. The goddess for me, the earth, Mother Earth, myself, my higher self, just like this divinity, those who listen, your higher self wants. So I try to align, like when you're about to do a key up in a martial arts chop, and a martial arts punch or something, where you line up, where you have the biggest thought, like you're gonna break the board, and the only thing is that you have, that's your biggest thought, that you think that until your body does it, your emotion does it, your mind, body, heart, and soul is into that punching that block of wood all the way through. And you don't think hit the board, you think through the board, break the board, or you think break the board, or you think through the board. So like if you think hitting the board, you're all you're ever going to do is hit the board. But if your mentality, your perception, your big thought, your most conscious thought, your thought out loud, whether or not you're speaking or not, your conclusive thing that you throw into that solar plex as you bring up that key up, that breath, your air goes to do when you engage in your diaphragm, grabbing your solar plex and pushing everything through your solar plex into all your energy. We'll say energy. So all your electricity that's pulsing through your body to move through the board when you're karate hitting a board becomes that totality thought. So what I worked with in my younger years, in my PTSD years of wisdom and being one with my higher self, and I'm like, I need, Mother Goddess and Father God to help me through this, because I can't do this because they're, not alone. And I don't have people in my life that, one, understand me, because all my autistic buddies were so masked that they were all typical and nobody's going to know. And I didn't know I was autistic. I didn't know I had ADHD. I didn't know the things that were done to me were like I was wronged. I defended my toxic people that have been toxic to me, the misogynistic, oppressing, like, oh, girls can't do that kind of thing, all in my youth, that I use this. And this is an empowerment. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, but I prayed, whoever could hear me, so I was speaking to my higher self that is there, that is constantly there, no matter how asleep it is, to empower me to make it through life and to do things. So I did a lot of my people thought I was high. I wasn't. There were no drugs involved. It was just a natural induction of what the penal glad could just pour out, and just moving through. And there were times that I was able to be present, and that was about it. And so, working with your higher self, or me working with my higher self, not knowing that I was working with my higher self, it was just like, help me. So that, like, I felt like I plugged in to divinity, the greater divinity that seems to be recognized universally, with different names and different faces and different. But I mean, like, it's not like my God, your God. It's like the great divinity, the great spirit. This is something of, this empowerment, all encompassing empowerment that we all seem to have. And now I'm preaching, and it ain't even Sunday. So I'm just going to end this and then start my day, because there are things that need done. And I love you guys. And it's over an hour. So you guys probably didn't make it this far, or you skipped, which, like swallows. YouTube podcasty things. You can find me, I love you guys. Love you all, and hope you do well. And until the next one,